Hello, welcome ladies and gentlemen to Tuesday. Jesus Christ, I'm losing track of my days already. Hello, I am back in the studio, returning to the scene of the crime from the subathon a week and a half ago now, nearly. I think I'm sitting a bit too far away from this, which is why it's drooping. I'll figure that one out maybe when I'm doing the next news article. But welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to The Scoop, live from Pulteney Filed. As you can tell, the studio is kind of similar to how we left it, which is obviously why you're seeing this kind of camera angle, which is a lot more zoomed in than it usually would be. Usually the camera's like way back there, but without going into too much detail, we've had the meeting room done in there, but there's still ongoing work that's going on in this building. So there's a pair of ladders that's in the middle of the room, don't know where they've come. A load of drill bits that's in the corner of the room, don't know where they've gone. So basically I can't move anything back yet because there's just so much shit behind the camera where we would usually put it that there's just no room for anything. There's a load of chairs over here that's been taken out of the old meeting room, so they're just in the corner now. So it's basically a disaster zone at this moment in time. I've kind of cleared the desk from, well, not that you can see it, but there was consoles, there was monitors, there was controllers, there was about 16 remotes, there was 3 keyboards, a pair of Graham's earphone, lapel mics. All that stuff has now gone, barring the lapel mics and Graham's earphones. The rest of it has been put away nicely. 3 ladders and tool bits for you then, Bibby. Exactly, mate, exactly. It's just in my way, that's all I'm saying. But we'll figure that out as and when, because obviously I can't start moving stuff about when people are doing stuff that's more meaningful than me being able to move the camera back a little bit more. Do you know what I mean? So for the time being, you've got this kind of view. I did have the Elgato face cam set up there, but it's a little bit tilted. I needed to get this show live. I leave here at 4 o'clock. I've been messing about with our studio OBS stuff for something that might be coming up in the next month or so. I'm not going to mention too much about it yet, but we will be going live with with an announcement or two in the coming weeks. So stay tuned for that one. I just can't say what it is yet. I'm not ruining the surprise. Why would I give you the exclusive on The Scoop? I mean, it is the UK's premier #1 video game podcast. It feels weird because the camera's so high, because we've had to crank it up, that I'm not looking directly at it. It feels like I'm just looking at this monitor down here instead, which is really off-putting. But yeah, I'm using Graham's chair that I've had to put all the way down to the bottom because mine's lost up in all this shit over here. So Graham's going to come back and kick off that his chair's a completely different height and his lumbar support is somewhere else. It's much further up my back than the low part. You guys don't need to know this. You're here for some video game news content, and by God, that is what I'm going to give you at a rapid pace again today, because genuinely I can't be much more busy if I tried at this moment in time. So I do apologize if we have just been flying through the show for the last 7 days, 8 days or so. It is what it is. At least I'm still giving you content, do you know what I mean? We could just not put any scoops out whatsoever, but I want to give you something. Just even if it's just 40 minutes, you guys getting some daily news content, and that is exactly what we're here for. A pair of Graham's underwear for some reason. No, that's Connor. He left a pair of jeans in the corner at one point. A discussion that we had actually during the subathon as he arrived in when he used to do some CSGO stuff in the evening. He just used to take his pants off. Weird that, innit? He just left them there, so God knows what he went home in. But again, ladies and gentlemen, this is The Scoop. We go live each and every single weekday at 10 a.m. ish. It's 2 o'clock now. I'm not going to apologise. I've got nothing to apologise for. But if you're watching this on any of our on-demand services, it genuinely doesn't matter when this goes live. But all that matters is, even when we still go live at 2 p.m, you guys are still joining us in the chat. You wait for those notification gang. You wait for it to go live, and then you join us. You give us your thoughts and impressions on top of our thoughts and impressions, and then you give your thoughts and opinions on top of that, and then we give our thoughts and opinions on top of that, and we do that by you guys helping shape our shows, which we've actually got 2 news articles today that have been submitted to us. One of them's by Dave, and I think the other one was by Chappers. I did already have it in the news, Chappers, but I'm going to credit you for it anyway, just for supplying us with the Tony Hawk's article, because I'm a nice guy like that. I'm a nice guy. So yeah, we've got 4 news stories today. I've kind of gone a bit clickbaity, but obviously that's what you would do anyway, so I do apologise if you've come out here thinking, oh my God, there is actually PS5 Slims in the wild. There genuinely is. There's only one of them though, and that's the one that we're going to be talking about today. So let's go back through the chat just before we move on. JMK coming in with the exclamation time. It's 13:50 is when we went live. Accurate, which is basically 10 a.m. By your clickbait, and this is just about some sling guy playing a PlayStation 5, to which I replied, well, it wouldn't be about me then. Late confirms that it wouldn't be about him, and JMK also confirms that it would not be about him as well. So yeah, it looks like we have some very healthy gamers, including myself, in the chat. That's what we do, you know what I mean? We just play around, we sit there and play video. I mean, to be fair, I exercise 3 days a week. I just eat so much more than I probably should do. But I don't care, because I'd still fucking kill any years on a football pitch. All playing golf. Which, by the way, I think I had a date yesterday. I did have a date, not an actual date. I did have a date in my calendar for when I could potentially do the 18-hole golf stream, which, thanks to you guys for obviously subbing us. It was one of the sub goals. You guys smashed it. It went from 9 holes to 18 holes. I did have a date. I'm just waiting for my mate to confirm that he can also do that date so we can share holding the camera and setting up the tripods, putting extra battery packs and stuff like that. So it can't be a one-man job, really. It would be a pain in the ass to set the camera up. Basically, I'll be getting done for slow play because I need to set my shot up, then put the camera in the right angle, then be able to put any kind of USB peripherals in there that we need to, including like lapel mics or something like that, which is something that hopefully I'll be able to get sorted out too, so you're not just hearing the wind and things, and we get some proper lapel mics and all that shit sorted out. It will be amazing. I just need to confirm the right date for that. It's probably going to be a 2 or 3 man job, so it could be that we actually have to rent a buggy as well, just to be able to store all the shit in case we need it, which would be quite fun too, to be able to razz it around on a buggy. Sorry, I've just got a notification. I'll let you in a little story. I'm just going to put me watch on Do Not Disturb. I apologise if Samantha's watching. Actually, I've just got a text from her. Well, that just reminded me. A little story time. So, went up to my mum's on Sunday, I think it was. And I like to play a few practical jokes on my brother. My brother is 15 years younger than I am, so he's turned 16 in January. And he went out with his mates, so I decided to go, I went upstairs to use the toilet, but I told him that I'd went into his room. I've been into his room and put something in there. I wasn't going to tell him what it was. I wasn't going to tell him where it was as well. So I texted him that. I didn't actually put anything in there. So I told him that, and he spent the last 2 days ripping his room apart to find this thing that I had not put in his room whatsoever. So he's texted me today saying, what the fuck is it? Because I can't find it anywhere. I've literally pulled all of my clothes out. I've gone underneath my bed. I've gone on the back of the door. I've opened my cases. I can't find it. What is it? So I sent him a picture of me giving the V's and said, sorry, mate, I forgot to put them in your room. Here they are. Found them for you. He is not best pleased. He is fuming at the fact that his room's upside down. He's shown me a picture of all of his clothes that he's taken out of his drawers. I could have kept him looking for a little bit longer, but 2 days is long enough, and my mum just keeps on sending me texts saying he's still looking, he's pulling stuff apart. I can hear him swearing from his bedroom. I know some of you might be going, oh my God, he's 16-year-old, he's swearing, but we live in a council in Manchester. Do you know what I mean? We were brought up with this kind of thing. I do apologise if it's not your kind of your taste, but you'd be definitely out of place in around our area if it wasn't that kind of vibe. But yeah, he's absolutely fuming. I thought it was hilarious. My mum still thinks it's hilarious. My wife thinks it's absolutely hilarious too. The only person that doesn't find it hilarious is my brother, because his room is now a shithole. But story time done. You want to hear about video game news? That's what I'm here for. I'm going to deliver it to you now. Let me just get this up on the screen with the clickbaitiness for you guys, and let's discuss it right now. Bowser coming in with the raid. Very much appreciate it, pal. Thank you very much. Hope you've had a fantastic day so far. I'm guessing you've been playing PUBG, because what else would you be playing? So I do appreciate you sending over your guys as well. I hope that you've had a fantastic day. You're just in time for the first news article, so come on down, pull up a pew, sit in the front row. We've got you sorted. Brew coffee machine is over there. Get yourself a brew. There's not enough sugar, so we've only got sweetener. I'm sorry, but it is what it is. Console frame. Yeah, there we go. You've been playing Fall Guys. Oh, did it release today? Probably should have included that in the news as well, but it's been and gone on it. Anyway, Written on VGC by Tom Ivan, he states that a YouTuber builds world's first PlayStation 5 Slim console. So, arguably, you could say that it was clickbait, that but there is actually a PlayStation 5 Slim out there in the wild. So, come at me, bro. Come at me, bro. I've done well to be able to include that into the title. Homemade project is less than 2 centimeters thick. There's a joke in there somewhere, but I'm not going to make that joke. You can do that at home. YouTube channel DIY Perks has created what is billing as the world's first PlayStation 5 Slim console. The technology channel, which focuses on how-to videos, reveals how it spent a couple of months to achieve such a slimmer form factor on the Sony's chunkiest system. One of the ways it managed to shrink the PlayStation 5 down was replacing the cooling heatsink with some custom copper water block and water channeling system. It also followed in the footsteps of a number of previous Slim consoles by offloading power to an external power brick. It's unclear how much this was spent on the entire project, but the copper sheets used to construct the console came in at a whopping $240. The final result was a slimmed down PlayStation 5 measuring just 1.9 centimeters wide, and one of that works better at keeping the console cool than the original cooler did, according to DIY Perks. Last May, it was reported that Sony would start production on a PlayStation 5 redesign in 2022, which would feature a new semi-customizable 6nm CPU and an AMD. Taiwanese business website Digitimes had claimed that suppliers, including semiconductor foundry TSMC, were planning on starting to produce redesigns of the PlayStation 5 console between the second and third quarters of this year. It also emerged this May that Sony appears to have registered a new PlayStation 5 model in Japan, and the company has recently received construction design certificates from what looks to be CFI 1200 series model, featuring updated radio equipment. A revised PlayStation 5 model was also released in 2021, although the redesign was purely components focused and didn't feature any significant external changes. So, ladies and gentlemen, it does look, I mean, I have absolutely channeled my inner clickbait there to be able to bring you that story. There is PlayStation 5 Slims out there in the world. It is one of those where it's probably not going to be there. It's not going to be out actually for us anytime soon. I cannot, for the life of me, think that. In fact, let me bring it back up on the screen for you. That's me. That's me. So this is what the PlayStation 5 Slim looks like. It looks like an old DVD player. Like, you remember when the very first, I mean, I don't know how old most of you guys in the chat obviously will know what a DVD player looked like. But back in the day, DVD players were a thing, and they looked like this. They was all pretty much the same, unless you was really fancy and you had like one of them combo DVD / Blu-ray or DVD and VHS all in one. It looks like it's the size of a book. Yep, it does. It looks like a strategy guide kind of design, but it just looks like an old DVD player. I'm very curious to see how it would last in the long term, because obviously this I don't think would have been stress test to its absolute limits like a normal console would do before it gets shipped out. So I don't know whether or not if you left it on for 4 days and you was just like on the start screen or some intense stuff where it'd just be putting the console through its absolute limits, whether or not it would just combust or melt or something like that. I can't see how something this small would last that long, but for the sake of this, it's just an idea for Sony, and Sony will be able to do it. They're going to put this guy's obviously done a load of water cooling inside there to try and keep the temperatures down as much as possible. Again, I'm very interested to see how it would work in the long term. But for all intents and purposes, they've got a PlayStation 5 Slim. They've stripped it out of its core. What's the words I'm looking for? Like the core necessities for a console to be able to run, i.e. things like the battery pack. They've just made that an external battery pack instead, which obviously will bring down the heat quite a lot as well. Obviously in PlayStation consoles predominantly, I'm trying to think of a PlayStation console that didn't have an internal battery pack, and the PlayStation 2 Slim, I think, it does have an external battery pack, obviously to bring it down, because it was obviously quite thick, wasn't it, the original PlayStation 2. So yeah, I think that was the only console that had an external battery pack, which obviously kicks out a ton of heat. Like if you put your hand on the back of your PlayStation, especially your PlayStation 4 for fuck's sake, the amount of heat that comes out the back of that is outrageous. Yeah, I can't see this happening for a while. I know that they've obviously mentioned that they're going to be doing some revisions, but the revisions don't necessarily mean that they're going to be available for sale. It doesn't mean that they are going to be released from the factory. I imagine it's going to have so many more different iterations of this console before we actually get something as slim as potentially this. I don't think we'll probably make it ever this slim because the components itself, including water cooling, and it's cost £240 just to be able to make the case for this without the chip being put inside. Without all the water cooling solutions that get put in. If it was to maybe made this size, I think you're probably talking about £800-900. But I don't, again, it's a pipe dream considering you can't bloody get hold of the consoles at this moment in time. Graham's already said, yeah, it's the size of. Jen K says DVD player, man, I feel old. Do they actually just sell normal DVDs anymore that aren't secondhand? Do they still produce normal DVDs? Because I feel like we're coming to the end of that kind of media. Surely they must be coming towards the end of their production life. Like they've out-survived obviously VHSs. They've been gone years. I mean, cassettes are starting to come back into fashion now. I don't know why, because the sound quality on them was piss poor in the first place, and we moved on to the likes of mini discs and CDs. But yeah, VHSs died a long time ago. So DVDs surely must be coming to the end of the last one, because we've got 4K DVDs and we've also got Blu-rays as well. So normal standard definition surely must be on their way out at some point. Copy console with water cooling, that's not mass market home electrical stuff, as great as it is. Also no disc drive. I mean, with the all digital consoles, people are probably not that arsed about them anymore. I mean, I will always get a disc drive console for as long as they keep on making them, for my own personal benefit of being able to put the games on my shelf, and then when I do want to be able to play them again, maybe in 10 years time, I can just put the disc and be able to go. But obviously it's not that much of a necessity for most people now. They just want digital only stuff. But yeah, this is gonna set you back an absolute fortune. People will just be taking these in for scrap, because again, copper's worth an absolute fortune at this moment in time. People are stripping the houses out of copper piping. I'm weighing it in, so I'm very interested to see how many PlayStation 5s would be being weighed in if that was the case. Same with physical games. I haven't bought one in a few years. I download them all online and it's cheaper too. I can't. Do you know what? For PC, yes, but for actual, unless they're in a sale, I still can't understand why digital games are as expensive as they are, because there's no middleman. They just need to host it online. But you're paying for convenience, just like a corner shop. A corner shop is always dearer than a supermarket, but you're paying for convenience of being able to walk for like 10 yards from your house or 100 yards down the road to be able to go to a corner shop, rather than maybe 2 miles down the road to your nearest supermarket. So again, you're paying for convenience. I still don't like the look of my PlayStation. I still think that the white wings just don't look that great. The ones where you got the black, or the Spider-Man ones, for instance, that we've seen, were so much better looking. I still haven't changed it, because once my PlayStation's plugged in at home, it's behind my monitors anyway. I don't even see it. So it just seems absolutely pointless to me. It's not the best looking console. PS2 Slim was a nice looking console. The original PlayStation is, in my eyes, nice, but I'm looking back at that in a little bit of nostalgia, because it is still quite an ugly console. I don't know. Has there actually ever been a really nice looking console? Like traditional standard one, not a fancy one that's been bundled up with something and it's got like a nice art design on there, but I'm talking about like an actual nice looking console. I'm trying to rack my brain now and I genuinely can't think of one. Like PlayStation 1, bit boff. PlayStation 2, just really square with a shit disc tray. Which is obviously why they made the slim one with the boot kind of thing that just pops up rather than the disc tray coming out, because that disc tray was shit. Always used to get stuck. PlayStation 3, again, super chunky. Disc tray was alright. Xbox, the original Xbox was just a fucking giant box that weighed a ton. Xbox 360, shit disc tray. Loved the original PlayStation 2. I don't know. The GameCube is just a box. It's horrible. Super Nintendo. Famicom. Amstrad. The Atari. I genuinely trying to wreck my brains of a nice looking console, because the ones nowadays are just obviously all square. I mean, they all previously were squares as well. I don't actually think there has. I like the Series S, nice and small and quite plain. Yeah, but it looks like it's got a giant speaker on top of it, which is obviously the vent. I don't like that. It looks like a speaker. I don't think it's that great. The Series X looks like a fridge. Nice that they've leaned into that. It does get very warm, and because it was in the front room, and I used to play Football Manager on it, so I had a little portable mouse and keyboard, mouse and keyboard, like a Bluetooth one with a dongle that you put in the back. So I forget to put in the mouse and keyboard directly on top of it, which fit perfectly, but would just hold all heating. So it used to get really, really warm. But yeah, I can't think of an actual nice looking console. Handhelds, there's fucking loads of them. Like the new analog system that got brought out was probably one of the nicest handhelds I've ever seen in my life. The one that can play original Game Boy games, Game Boy Color. I'm fairly certain you could buy an attachment to be able to put Game Boy Advance games in there too. That's a beautiful looking console. In fact, I'll get it up on the screen now for you guys that haven't seen it. Analog handheld. I mean, all of the analog consoles that they've rebought out are all unbelievably nice. So let's make that full screen. Here we go. I mean, look at that. That is one hell of a console right there. That is beautiful. Love that. Love that. All the analog consoles. Oh, look at these. I mean, best of a bad situation because it was one of those cartridges. But the place that, look at that. That is unbelievably beautiful. I mean, it's got the world's worst blur on it. Let's go for Echo the Dolphin one. Look at that. Outstanding. Outstanding. Taking an old design and making it a little bit more modern, a bit more sleek. Beautiful. Unbelievable consoles. But we still get an ugly piece of shit like the PlayStation 5 consoles. It'll always wreck my brain. But I'm not making the fucking consoles, am I? Does the Wii count? I don't think it was too bad. I mean, arguably, yeah. I mean, it definitely was one of the consoles that fits lovely into your home entertainment center. Do you know what? Very similar to what you get with most Xboxes. They're all very square. They're not very round, are they? They're just square blocks that you put in there. So arguably, you're probably right with that one. But yeah, I mean, we're talking about the console designs and stuff like that. I think we should just move on to the next news article. How's about that? All right, let's do it. Let's make this bigger on the screen. Console frame. Hi there. So, written by Andy Robinson over at VGC, he states that Tony Hawk says Activision scrapped a 3 and 4 remake following Vicarious Visions merger. The veteran developer was officially folded into Blizzard earlier this year. I did find this one first, but Chappers also submitted it too. So, Chappers, thank you very much for submitting this article. That's how nice I am. A planned remake of Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4 was canned due to Activision Blizzard's decision to absorb 1 and 2 developers, Vicarious Visions. That's according to the Pro Skater himself, who claimed during a live stream on Monday that Activision had briefly taken pictures from other studios, but allegedly wasn't happy with any of them. That was the plan, even up until the release of 1 and 2. We were going to be doing 3 and 4, and then Vicarious got some kind of absorbed, and then they ended up looking for other developers, and then it was over. He added, the truth of it is Activision were finding somebody to do 3 and 4, but they just didn't really trust anyone with the way that they did with Vicarious. So they did take all the pictures from the studios. What would you do with the Tony Hawk's Pro Skater titles? And they didn't like anything that they heard. And then there it was. Who knows? Maybe when the dust settles, we'll figure it out. You never know. I would have thought we'd be going to do 1 and 2 20 years later. Activision Blizzard announced that in January 2021 that it had planned to fold Vicarious Visions into Blizzard as a support team, and then the merger became official in April of this year. At the time, Activision Blizzard said that the official Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 and Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy developer would no longer be creating games as a lead studio. Going forward, the Vicarious Visions team, around 200 people, will be his employees of Blizzard and fully dedicated to existing Blizzard games and initiatives, added Activision Blizzard. A veteran studio was formed over 30 years ago and has worked on a dozen of titles, including Skylanders, Guitar Hero, Destiny, Call of Duty, blah, 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 blah. You don't need to know any of that. But unfortunately, it looks like Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4 are no more. I mean, to be fair, as far as I was aware, this was the 1 and 2 was going to be a one and done in terms of remakes. I didn't even get an inkling that that the third and fourth one was going to be remade. I might have thought if they did extremely well, the original, the remakes of 1 and 2, that they might have an option to be able to do 3 and 4, but obviously that looks like it's been canned. It's a shame because from what I hear, the 1 and 2 remakes were fantastic. They've been done to a very high standard, but not having the original team that worked on 1 and 2, not the original ones, I'm talking about the remake ones, and then not having them make 3 and 4 is just, I think, a recipe for disaster. If you're not having the same team that did extremely well and make games critically acclaimed again, then for them to be moved on and you might potentially have a new team being pitched for it, I don't think that's going to work well, and I think they've probably done the right thing and leaving it and putting it on the back burner. Unless they genuinely think that this 3 and 4 was going to make them a shitload of money, they might have peeled that team away from the merger and just had them working on the game separately. Obviously still under the Activision Blizzard banner, but just working on that game rather than being in support for other games that are being put out there. But clearly they don't. They don't think it's going to do them well enough to be able to justify them splitting up the teams or bringing new personnel in to work in the support teams and taking the original team that made the 1 and 2 remakes and have them work back on 3 and 4 again. It's the way that business is. Unfortunately, our idea of what good business is isn't the same as what shareholders and the people on the boards will probably think that they're worth. They think they'll probably get more money from making expansions for other games that they are already making a shitload of money from, rather than games like this that don't really hold their value for that long. Like, how many people are picking up the remake of Tony Hawk's 1 and 2 now? Probably not that many. They would have had a massive influx of people picking it up when it first got released, but then after a while, the dust settles, no one's really picking it up again after that, then they're not making any money. So you might as well just keep on getting people to work on games that's going to be a conveyor belt of money, more and more through the door, and then you're good to go. And so it's a shame, but who knows? Who knows what the future holds? As he mentioned there, he never would have thought that 1 and 2 would have been getting remade 20 years later, so he's probably just not holding his breath at this moment in time, as long as we don't get a remake of 5. I mean, if they do remake 5, just make it more playable than what it was, because overall, it wasn't the shit game that everyone made it out to be, if I'm being perfectly honest. There was some things that frustrated the ever-loving shit out of me, like having the grind button, the same button as slam. Oh, the amount of combo breakers that fucking thing did. But that's unfortunately the position what they was in. If they could remake that and have it play as the remakes of 1 and 2 did, I think they'll have a very good game on their hands. It's just unfortunate that it was just a small oversight. They could have patched that out, but they didn't. And ultimately, it was a game that didn't do very well for them, critically and costly. No. Figuratively, no. Money? No. You know where I'm going with this. But anyway, moving swiftly on before I start to trumble over my words. Trumble. I've had enough. This one was supplied by Fadman Dave. Let's move me over to the right-hand side. There we go. Written on written on VG247. Ush says, I do apologise that I can't pronounce your surname. Forgive me. You can add a Lego brick to the list of things that can now play Doom. To join the likes of Doom on a pregnancy test, there are a million ways to play Doom, and now there's 1,000,001 you can now play it on a Lego brick. This isn't some kind of prank, goof, or a bit, because Twitter user and the maker of things, James Brown, no, not that one, has taken a Lego brick and turned it into a teeny tiny screen. Earlier this month, Brown had decided to go through the efforts of taking a tiny blue Lego brick and making it a functioning monitor, and of course, if it's a computer of some kind, it can run Doom. And to run Doom it does, as Brown shared on Twitter in a quite cute little video showing a Lego minifigure playing the game, of course. It's probably the single worst way that you could play Doom, given the screen has a resolution of 72 by 40, but the point is always that it can run Doom and not that it can't run Doom well. Brown admits that the replies is that it's not very playable, as well as for what it looks fairly playable, and and where we're... sorry. Let me roll that back. Brown admits in the replies that it's not very playable as well, but from what it looks like, fairly playable from where we're standing. There's some words missing out of that, so I do apologise that it sounded like I was stroking out. This particular way that you can play Doom joins a long list of... you can play Doom on things. I do apologise. I am brain farting all over the place here. But for you guys that are watching this live or you're watching this on any of our on-demand services, here's the video of Doom being played on a very, very small brick. Do you know what? It looks like it moves quite well, but I imagine this is a massive pain in the ass. It's not a very big screen, as you can imagine. But it does look like it's moving quite well. It doesn't look framey. It looks like it's moving quite well. You can see the doors and the sliders moving up, and you can see them shooting the bad guys. So, again, add it to the list of things that you can definitely play Doom on. Massive dub. Massive dub. Ad says, what news have I missed? You've missed the Tony Hawk's news that it's 3 and 4 aren't getting remade, and also the fact that there is a PlayStation 5 Slim out in the wild, but you're probably not going to be getting it anytime soon. Ice Cream Upload says, and I know this is going to be a joke, so we'll wait to what the punchline is. Fair play to James Brown. He could have just sat in his butt and let Lego just be Lego, but it seems like he's got that thing. Told you. I knew it. I know how Graham's brain works, so as soon as I seen fair play to James Brown, ... I knew there was going to be a punchline in there somewhere, and I braced myself for it. And to be fair, definitely a solid 7 out of 10 from Graham. Not quite a round of applause, but definitely a commendable effort. So thank you very much for that one, Graham. As I said, I've known you for too long. I know when something's going to be happening. I need to brace myself. I'm buckling up for this bumpy ride that you're going to send me on. But yeah, you've missed 3 news stories so far. I mean, this one being Doom is just a nice little one. Something about Tony Hawk's. Yeah, 3 and 4 aren't being remade. Vicarious Visions have obviously been merged into Activision, and they're working on other games. So 3 and 4, despite how well 1 and 2 may or may not have done, will not be getting the same treatment, as confirmed by Tony Hawk himself. But yeah, that's 3 news stories. We've got 1 more left for you guys today. This one's quite an interesting one, to be perfectly honest. And this was one of the ones that I was going to go as the clickbaity title, saying something like, Lost Ark loses 300,000 players and the community is up, the community praises it, or something along those lines. But words were failing me. There was far too many for me to be able to get into an asset. So we went with the PlayStation 5 one. If we could press the right buttons. I'm struggling here today, lads. I'm going to be honest. I am struggling. But written by Makar. Apologise, Connor. Lost Ark loses over 300,000 players after massive ban wave. The community celebrates. So yeah, that's the kind of thing that I was going to go for, but there's a lot of words to be able to put in an asset there. After the June 16th maintenance, Lost Ark has hemorrhaged its players. Or did it? Over the past week or so, Lost Ark has lost roughly over 300,000 players according to Steam charts and SteamDB. Its hugely popular action MMORPG, which launched to ridiculous levels of success earlier this year, appears to have wiped out a significant number of players via a recent ban wave, which resulted in the dramatic drop. For those not in the know, the team at Amazon Game Studios have been battling an ongoing botting problem for some time now. Through multiple official blog posts coinciding with major updates, the topic of bottling has never been near constant presence. And the continuous cat and mouse chase between developers and cheaters has trucked along over the last couple of months. It's been a major issue too. Lost Ark has already existed in Korea and Russia for some time prior to the Western release, practically launched with a pre-existing botting ecosystem who has been sharpening their fangs on the aforementioned versions of the title. The botting problem has resulted in some frustrating side effects too, as a healthy real money trading environment has been able to flourish thanks to the ample number of bots running around, farming content and generating in-game wealth. For those not too sure why this is a bad thing, bots farming resources and money 24/7 uncontested injected inflated amount of currency into the game, which players with a little bit of know-how can just buy. This inflated amount of gold in the economy leads to, you guessed it, inflation, which means that Ted, the construction worker coming home from a hard day, will find it useful materials drifting further and further outside his budget. Not necessarily a problem for those who can invest some extra time or have no issues buying gold, but a rough situation for casual players and those morally against real money trading to find themselves in. That's not to say that the focus Amazon Game Studio haven't been taking this line down. According to prior results from the publisher, anti-cheat software updates have continuously cut down the number of bots in waves. However, as the nature of any anti-cheat versus cheater battle, the player population has historically bounced back in the wake of these bans waves, as users usually figure their way around this anti-cheat and redeployed whatever sketchy software that they had to hand. This ongoing botting problem has led to some speculate on the real population of Lost Ark, and when it's obviously impossible to know exact figures, shifts in overall player counts, such as a removal of an easily exploitable gold farming method, have occasionally popped up. The removal of an easily exploitable gold farming method seemingly cut a whopping 200,000 players off the top of this in March. These occurrences have occasionally popped up as strong indications of just how many bots were present behind the scenes. For the record, we'd likely never find the exact number, as websites like the aforementioned Steam Charts and SteamDB, while helpful, aren't official tracking websites and thus can be off the mark quite a bit. Fast forward to June the 16th, and it looks like both botters have real money traders have been hit hard. A day before it was announced via Twitter, as well as an official post on the Lost Ark forums, that a massive ban wave will be coming alongside the scheduled update. They weren't kidding. This otherwise regular patch seems to have been picking out some extra juice under the hood, resulting in a sharper drop than usual in these days following the patch. The number of concurrent players did initially reach roughly 550,000 immediately after. 550,000. Immediately after this, they begun plummeting into around 200,000 over the weekend. This resulted in two vastly different reactions from two factions on popular cheating forums and bot hubs. Threads with users performing pseudo damage checks are easy to find, with posters reporting on what accounts they've received bans. The duration of these bans and what services in-game actions may have gotten from them had been caught on Amazon's radar. On the flip side of the coin, you have users on Reddit, Discord, and other popular hangouts for legitimate Lost Ark play hyped about the purge, in what is probably the most triumphant celebration of a player fallout you'll see anytime soon. This came in the form of genuine disbelief at the impact, dunking on those that had been caught in the sharp end of bans and memes. Now, this obviously does go on for quite a little bit longer. You get the gist. The people who have been botting are pissed that their accounts have just been banned, and the people who haven't and want to be playing this to the absolute that they should be playing it, they're playing it to the laws of the game, are over the moon, as you would be if someone was taking the enjoyment out of your game by manipulating the system and making the economy of the game unachievable and unfeasible. They're out of here, they're out of the game, you've got your game back, fantastic. And the people who obviously aren't are fuming. So yeah, I'm happy that they managed to do that. 300,000 people that have been kicked from the game is genuinely outrageous. 300,000 people. Yeah, I'd like to say you can't put that into numbers, but the number is right there. But in terms of what the economy that does to the economy of the game, I don't know whether or not that's going to change. So the inflation is already within the means of the game. If they've been able to ramp the price up of that particular piece of what's the word, crafting materials or a weapon of some sort, that money's not gonna drop. The inflation is already there. So what that does, it just means that it won't be going up as fast, which is great, obviously, for the people who are going to try and achieve to get whatever it is that they're trying to grind towards. I don't know what that means for the rest of the people, though. Like the people who have been obviously grinding through, they've lost their account. Does that mean that they're going to start again? How long will it take them to be able to get to the accounts that they've now got? Like, are these bots from the people who've been playing the game for over 2 years now, or is this just new accounts? Like, I don't know what this actually does to the ecosystem apart from getting them out of the game now. Like, what does that future hold for these players and what their economy looks like? Because ultimately, if people are grinding their and I'm talking about the bot accounts, if people are grinding and farming all of this to be able to spend within the game, like, they'll just find another way of being able to do that. They might not have the original means or the original account, but they'll be able to do that again. But what does that mean for the rest of the people who are obviously in the game now, trying to find that weapon, trying to farm towards those crafting materials? I don't know what that means for the people who are still playing the game, that now have an achievable target, but to what end is what I'm trying to say. Inflation, don't talk about inflation, says JMK. I mean, in real world terms, a pain in the fucking ass. As I mentioned yesterday, for those of you that didn't know, there is an app out there called Petrol Prices at nearly fucking £1, nearly £2 a litre. It's outrageous. I managed to get mine yesterday at 187, but my local one was 194. I had to go a bit out of my way to go and get it fueled up, but when you're putting like 70 quid's worth of fuel in your car, the 5p difference makes it does make a massive difference. So yeah, go to my Suites. You'll be able to see the app there for Android users. That's just a small bit of inflation. That's not the cost of living or anything like that. You can't fucking escape it at the moment, whether or not your day-to-day life or you're playing a video game. Arseholes are everywhere making decisions for you on behalf of you. But on behalf of us, Ice Cream Uploads, on behalf of myself, as I'm speaking in the third person, thank you very much to each and every one of you that have joined us for today's show, that have helped shape it, that by sending us news articles. Again, we very much appreciate you doing that. But there's still three more still three more shows for this week. I mean, am I going to be there doing them? Probably. Am I going to fumble my way through it again? Probably. But that's what you all are tuning in for, so I do appreciate that. You know the drill by now. Find us on all social media platforms, including TikTok and YouTube, which we started to put some stuff up on TikTok now. So go ahead. Please feel free to go over and like that stuff, because it does obviously help us with the algorithm as well. I'm trying to post as much as I can across everything. So please, whenever you do see something, just like it. That would just make my job a hell of a lot easier. As come across everything, find us on Discord. All you need to do is just provide us with the URL. We'll give you our thoughts and impressions. We'll then give you our thoughts and impressions on the very next show, which will be at what time tomorrow, Mr. Graham Day? That's right, it's 10 a.m-ish. Probably won't be 10 a.m. I'll still be in here fucking about with this particular camera. Not being able to move it because there's step ladders and everything else behind it. But stick around. We are going to be sending you over to one of our friends, as obviously Bowser did before by bringing you over here in the first place. So I do appreciate that. As I said, stick around. It may be a high and bye to the person that you're going to get sent over to, but I think they would be very much appreciative if you could do that. But until the next time, guys, it's been an absolute pleasure to be able to host this stream for you. Again, I cannot wait to get off this. I cannot speak properly. But until the next time, guys, stay frosty!